Speaker, it's great to rise today to speak on bail and sentencing reform legislation. It's clear that every Canadian deserves to feel safe and secure in their community, yet too often people tell me that their sense of security has been shaken by the headlines that they see, but also by repeat violent offenders in their communities that have them worried whether the laws are keeping up with today's realities. Public safety, we all can agree, is a foundation of trust in every community. It's a trust between citizens, it's a trust between citizens and their government, between citizens and a system which is supposed to uphold justice. It allows our communities to thrive, businesses to grow, for families to live without fear, and for children to grow up in safe neighborhoods. That's why I'm proud to support Bill C-14, the Bail and Sentencing Reform Act. This bill takes concrete steps toward building that trust and ensuring the law protects everyone it is meant to serve. It gives law enforcement the tools they need and the ones that they've been asking for. As the Member of Parliament for Whitby, I have the privilege of meeting residents from every walk of life, families walking their children to school, small business owners opening their doors every day, educators shaping our future, and first responders keeping us all safe. And without fail, they share a common expectation, which is to live in a community where they feel safe and can rely on our justice system, not just on paper, but in practice. Safety is essential for a healthy community, and Canadians deserve to know the law will protect them and their loved ones. Now, public safety is not just a commitment that I have as being an elected representative, but it's also personal to me. My father served with the Peel Regional Police Service for 3 decades, serving and protecting our community, the one that I grew up in. Thank you. From him, I learned that keeping people safe requires courage and commitment. It requires a strong sense of duty, but also a thick skin and, yes, compassion, and especially for those impacted by crime. Now, I have vivid memories growing up as a young boy of my dad's pager going off in the middle of the night because he was a homicide detective for much of his career. He put a bulletproof vest on and ran out the door to be the first on the scene to apprehend violent offenders. Many violent offenders in our community were brought to justice by the work that my father did over 3 decades. Thank you. My dad was and remains my hero. And if he's listening today, Dad, I hope you know how much I appreciate your long and distinguished career in law enforcement and just how much I've learned from you over the years. He was dedicated to enforcing the law. In many ways, I've followed in his footsteps. We joke about it, but by improving laws today, hopefully I'm making him proud. Well, Bill C-14 is one such effort. I've confirmed with my father, who I know supports this bill, who says these legislative efforts that we're here to debate today are pursuing a path that takes significant steps in the right direction. So, Mr. Speaker, I also want to extend my heartfelt thanks to the officers of the Durham Region Police Service, the men and women who patrol our streets, respond to emergencies, investigate serious crimes, and comfort families in the aftermath of tragedy. Their courage is what holds the fabric of our community safety together, and we appreciate their work wholeheartedly. Thank them for that work every day. In September, I had the opportunity to meet with our police chief, Peter Moreira, and his leadership team to discuss growing challenges in our community: repeat offenders, auto theft, organized crime, human trafficking, hate-motivated violence, and the persistent social challenges at the intersection of poverty, homelessness, mental health, and addictions in our region. And when those charged with protecting our communities tell us this bill matters, I believe we should listen. Effective public safety demands coordination, investment, and the right tools for law enforcement. Canadians want a justice system that prioritizes safety and accountability, and that's exactly what Bill C-14 delivers. Earlier this year, I hosted a public safety roundtable in my community and was happy to have the Minister of Public Safety join us, followed by last week I did a virtual town hall on this legislation in my community with our Minister of Justice and Attorney General. We engage directly with law enforcement, service providers, victim service organizations, residents, all of whom urged us to pass this legislation to continue moving forward, many of whom urged us to put aside any partisan politics, and I would urge members opposite to put aside the delay tactics here and get this bill to committee. C-14 answers the call that strengthening bail for serious offenders, expanding the reverse onus provisions for repeat violent crime, and ensuring courts put the safety of victims and communities first. It answers the call to those that have been asking us to make these reforms. These reforms reflect what Canadians have asked for and will make a real measurable difference in preventing harm and restoring confidence in our justice system. With over 80 targeted amendments, including changes to the Criminal Code, the Youth Criminal Justice Act, and National Defense Act, this bill aims to enhance the effectiveness of the justice system by clarifying processes and sentencing standards. New sentencing measures under Bill C-14 include protections against crimes targeting first responders, penalties for organized retail theft, and safeguarding critical infrastructure. The bill also mandates consecutive sentences for repeat violent crimes, removes house arrest as an option for serious sexual crimes, and reinstates mandatory driving bans for offenses causing death or physical harm. These are real, responsible changes that protect people and help restore faith in our justice system. This is what accountability and community protection, community safety looks like in action. Justice must serve everyone, especially victims. The bill matters to people in my community, like Kimberly Black, who was violently attacked while jogging in Whitby. Miraculously, she survived, but she's still recovering from the trauma of that attack. And an 83-year-old woman, Eleanor Donnie, who was fatally attacked in her own front yard by a 14-year-old. Stories like these are the kinds that tear at the fabric of society and leave lasting impressions, negative impressions on people throughout the community. So C-14 matters to the victims of crime and is really a victim-centered approach to justice system reform. Now, I also want to say, Mr. Speaker, that police associations welcome Bill C-14 as a necessary step. They highlight that victims, officers, and communities deserve safety, knowing violent offenders will not continue to harm neighborhoods. They have advocated for exactly the kind of measures that this bill contains. So, for example, the Durham Region Police Association says it's optimistic with the introduction of Bill C-14. They also say this is a much-needed step forward in our criminal justice system. They've also said, and I quote, many of these recommendations that they've made are reflected in the legislation. Those include consecutive sentence options for repeat violent offender, restrictions on the use of conditional sentences, amendments to the principle of restraint, expanding the tertiary grounds for detention to include the number of, or seriousness of outstanding charges, expanding reverse onus provisions for violent repeat offenses, empowering police to identify young people in the most serious and urgent circumstances, and requiring courts to consider that a victim was a first responder in the line of duty as an aggravating factor at sentencing. So that's my local police association. And again, my police association continually reminds me, and they're right, that they represent the rank and file, which is the beat cops that are on the ground in community, not necessarily always reflecting the leadership, the chief and superintendents, etc. Sometimes they have differences of perspective, and that's real. What's remarkable in this case is that police associations, the police chief associations, and the associations agree that this Bail and Sentencing Reform Act is taking meaningful steps forward. Now, keep in mind, they also urge us to respect the Charter of Rights and Freedoms in their statement, including the provisions to strengthen bail conditions and prioritize public safety, while ensuring those posing the greatest risk to communities remain in custody. So in short, we have lots of support for this bill. Bills can always be improved through the parliamentary process. I never discount the fact that lively, good faith debate in committee can surface issues, can find ways to strengthen bills. So to the members opposite who like to bring up what I would call excuses for not voting this bill through to committee, I would say let's get this bill to committee. Let's strengthen it if it needs to be strengthened. Let's continue to put community safety first and ensure that we give law enforcement and our justice system the resources and tools that they've been asking for to ensure that we can really keep our communities safe. Thank you very much.
Questions and comments. Question et commentaire. The honourable member for Langley Township, Fraser Heights.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you to the member opposite for his speech about bail reform. I think that there's probably broad agreement in this House that we need bail reform for serious repeat violent crime. And I'm happy that C-14 is taking a step in the right direction. But my question is today about repeat non-violent crime, property crime that is plaguing our downtown cores. I have some statistics from Downtown Vancouver Business Improvement Association. Property damage, 143 calls. Theft from auto, 357. Open drug use, 4,960. People are just coming out, you know, they're arrested. Later in the day, they are released. The next day, they're repeating these crimes again. Not violent, but they are a nuisance and a plague to our cities.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary, the Minister of Finance.
So I agree with the member opposite that some of the things he points to are real issues, but to say that because everything is not addressed in one bill, I mean, this bill has a specific focus on bail reform, sentencing reform to address what conservatives have said is a system over and over again which doesn't take the right balance, ensuring that communities are safe, ensuring that people are held without bail in cases when it can be established that they're a threat to public safety. The repeat violent offenders is what this Bail and Sentencing Reform Act is focused on. So are you saying by asking that question that we shouldn't move forward with the most egregious violent offenders and ensuring that our bail system is stronger because it doesn't deal with petty theft in our communities? Because that seems absurd to me.
Again, address comments to the chair. Questions and comments. Question et commentaire. The honourable député de Bourassa.
The honourable member for Bourassa. Thank you very much. I thank my colleague for his remarks, and I thank him and his father for everything they did for society. Can he now explain to me how this bill could help with collaboration with regional and municipal bodies, and also how this can limit offending by people who could be very dangerous?
Well, thank you very much. I mean, this bill, I mean, in particular, the reverse onus on serious violent offenses that this bill includes is really significant. Obviously, it reverses the onus such that, you know, the offenders and their counsel are going to have to prove that they're not a risk to society, and rather than bail being sort of the default when a repeat offender is being considered for bail, putting those reverse onuses in place is significantly going to strengthen the ability for our justice system to hold those individuals without bail, especially and only when those individuals are up on charges that demonstrate a clear history of repeat violent crime. Thank you.
Questions and comments. The honourable member for Prince George, Peace River, Northern Rockies.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'll respectfully ask the member across the way. You know, I appreciate your father's service, but you were part of the, or he was as a member, part of the previous Trudeau government, who brought in C5, C75, that caused all the problems that we're now that the member's trying to unwind with C14. I guess I just don't understand why, if you're having to fix it now, why did you bring in C5 and C75 in the first place?
Again, through the chair, the Honourable Parliamentary Secretary, the Minister of Finance.
So through the chair, thank you to the member opposite for the question. Obviously, this government is committed to addressing public safety issues and ensuring that repeat violent offenders, where it makes sense, do not get out on bail, that they have tougher sentences. I think we've always maintained that. I know the members opposite like to put forward proposals and legislation that would get struck down by the Supreme Court, that would be deemed unconstitutional or unaligned with the Charter of Freedoms. We're looking to strike the right balance, and where we see our justice system not striking the right balance between the liberties that Canadians enjoy and the consequences for people that choose to break the law. We are zeroing in and addressing those issues. We've consulted all across the country, and we're very clearly doing the right things in this bill and legislation because mayors, ministers of justice at the provincial level, and all the police associations agree with us. Thank you.